go for a new season, including Kelly Ray Finley. This was her first full offseason as the head coach of the Florida Gators. Of course, having that interim tag lifted on February 28th of last year. We mentioned in the open what a season last year for the Gators. 21 wins, first tournament since 2016, and big ranked wins in the SEC along the way.
It's just a great season to build upon, and I think that's what they're looking to do. It was a season a little bit unexpected, I think, for some of the players, but once they named her head coach, I think this program just took a step in the right direction.
Meanwhile, for Florida A&M, coming off a 4-25 campaign, third season for Shalon Pillow at the helm, former assistant in the SEC at Kentucky, played under Pat Summitt at Tennessee from 98 to 2002, really the heyday of the Lady Vol program. And she has a lot of work to do here at Florida A&M in Tallahassee, but was hired during COVID, only really her second season on the bench. As we're underway, Gators in white, Florida A&M in green. So glad that you can join us here tonight. Kyle Crooks, Brittany Davis, our entire crew. Gators, a lot of new faces. One of those in the starting lineup to begin, Rashea Kyle from Purdue. Rimdahl seeing the start at the point. Post touch here for Kyle. Inside Dude can't handle it and will go out of play.
Talking about the transfers coming in for this Florida program, Kyle's a player for Florida that's going to give them a post presence down low. You saw it already in the first offensive set. They're looking to get the ball inside and run some offense through their post players to start this game. Really dominate down low because they have a size advantage against this FAMU team.
Take a look at the starters for Florida A&M as we've had a couple of turnovers to start. Skylar Baltzegar will get the starting nod, a transfer, much like most of college basketball, and much like the Gators, a grouping of transfers for Florida A&M. They return 3 starters, lose a total of 7 players off of last year's roster, but they have some production from some Power 5 schools that has come in. As Rimdahl misfires from deep, we'll have a foul on the floor. Might be a tie-up, and it will be Florida A&M basketball.
See, early in this game, Florida's trying to get active on the offensive end. They've got the post players involved. You want to get Birdie shooting the ball. She is their three-point threat from outside. They brought in some other shooters, but you would like to see her get going early in this season if you're Florida.
Had a couple of really good games in SEC play and finished the year only 4 of her final 29 from 3. Here's Ariana Grizzle. Corner 3 is off the mark for Mide Oriami. Former teammates with Rashea Kyle at Purdue. Here's the aforementioned Kyle. Long range 2 is untrue. And still trying to get on the board for both of these teams. You take a look at the starting 5 for the Gators. It's the same starting 5 as an exhibition. The Gators put up 110 points. Yvette Subirats, the Ball State transfer, gets Florida A&M on the board and an early lead for the Rattlers here on the road. And they have a takeaway. Subirats again. Takes it away from Rimdahl to the cup. Can't lay it in. Ball still loose. Dylan Horton takes it back. Loose ball finally for Merritt. Gators still searching for their first points and missed their first 2 shots.
Maybe a little bit of nerves, I think, on both teams. It's the start of the season. You're seeing a lot of missed layups down low. FAMU back-to-back missed layups. Now Florida unable to connect down underneath on some shots that you're going to want to see fall later in this season.
Dylan Horton tees it up and rips the net. 2 trays early for the Rattlers on the road to start a new season, a 6-zip lead.
And the Rattlers, a team, they're looking in and say, hey, we're here to play. We're going to compete. We're not going to hang our heads. I know in statute, Florida obviously has that bigger name, but FAMU's coming in saying, hey, we're going to compete at every level of this game.
Merritt misfires from deep. She was a 41% three-point shooter last year, best on the team. Horton, an early 5. Top returning scorer is Dylan Horton, the Virginia transfer. Averaged over 16.5 points per game last year, already with 5, and an 8-0 start. Gators might be a little shell-shocked to start, Brittany.
Yeah, Florida right now just patient offensively. You can see they're working the ball inside, and they're going to get a shot from outside. Birdie, she's her second shot of the game, not able to connect and fall, but FAMU playing with a lot of confidence to start this game. You got to give them credit. They're shooting the ball well from outside. They're not backing down. Florida right now, just a little shaky on the offensive end. They're getting good looks. That was a wide open 3. You want her to take that shot. You can see here in transition with FAMU, eyes up, not afraid to let it fly. That's a good decision. You got a rebounder running the middle of the lane. You got your shooter open. Florida's big had to stretch out, had to decide if she's going to put a hand in the face or play back a little bit. And FAMU lets it fly.
Yeah, Dylan Horton can't give her space. 16 games in double figures last year. Shot it at a 43% clip from the floor. So we'll have a quick delay in the action. That's Skylar Baltziger, Charleston Southern. For Shalon Pillow, head coach of Florida A&M, she said early on it's not necessarily about the wins and losses, but she's been very big into character development in this team.
Absolutely. I think that's something she wants to bring in. She talked about she wants to develop her players not just to be basketball players, but out in society once they graduate. She wants to have them to have a character of what you're going to do when you move on from the game of basketball. And obviously she played at a very high level in Tennessee, so wins are important. She talked about that as Florida finally gets on the board, but she really wants to hone in on our character is so big. Great defense by Florida. You see them putting in a little bit of a press, and they said, hey, we've got to up our intensity. Florida needs to get out here and get some energy, some high energy. And how do you do that? You jump into a little press, full court, get FAMU rattled a little bit, tip pass, great play, and then just a touch pass into Jordan Merritt.
Leilani Correa, transfer from St. John's, impact players, averaged over 17 points the last 2 years.
I think Correa for Florida is going to be somebody who you need to keep your eye out on. You see her coming in off the bench, but she is active. She has a smoothness in her game. She passes the ball very well. Defensively, you saw it there on the press. She's long and she's athletic. She could be a good step for Florida, especially on the defensive end as well. But you alluded to the way that she can score the ball. She is a scorer. Florida has a lot of pure scorers on this team this year.
Ariana Grizzle with the bucket, transfer from Alabama, used to playing in the SEC. Well, Kelly Rae Finley had seen enough of that starting five. She's shaking things up a little bit. Correa and KK Deans, also a transfer from West Virginia, now on the floor. Rare look from three from Faith Dude. Not the optimal look for the Gators, who now have a 1 of 8 start from the floor. Off the mark from deep, that's Horton again. Ricards guns the engine. Deans will hoist and hit. First points as a Gator for KK Deans.
And the transfer from West Virginia, and she knows how to score the basketball. Average 14.5 points per game. She brings a lot of energy to this Florida team. You can see her be active defensively. She can shoot the ball from outside as well, Kyle.
Talking to a lot of people around this program, she's a bucket getter.
Yeah.
KK Deans can create her own shot. Grizzle slashes in the lane, threw it into a crowd. And there's Dean with the active hands. Ooh. Long bounce, rolling towards Merritt, missed the bunny at the rim.
Great court vision by KK Deans. Kind of lays it right on there for Jordan Merritt to run into. Unfortunately, unable to convert for Florida.
After a hot start, it's been cold from deep for Florida A&M. Correa checks her feet. You bet! Another tray for the orange and blue after a slow start. 2 of their 3 made field goals from the arc, and just like that, a 6-0 spurt to tie the game at 10.
And 2 of the players coming in making that impact are 2 of Florida's transfers. 2 new faces for Florida.
Biggest area where Kelly Rae Finley wanted to see improvement on the defensive end. Grizzle, a tough off-balance floater off the glass. Deans, quick trigger. That's her identity, Brittany.
She's not afraid to let it fly.
Horton off the spin in transit. The touch in the paint for Dylan Horton.
FAMU right now, they are not backing down. They're shooting the ball with a lot of confidence right now. 60% from the field.
Coach Pillow said Horton likes to push it in transition and score. We saw both of that there. Correa from the corner. Grizzle active early with the board. Long lead, Horton steamrolls in, had it stripped free, bodies tangle on the deck, and we finally get a whistle. Alternate arrow for the Gators, and that'll bring us to our first official timeout on the floor. Well, Florida A&M, a big start. 1 point in this quarter, had an 8-0 lead. It's Florida A&M through 4 opening segment on opening night.
And you're working with young women. You know, they're coming out of high school. They're 17, 18 years old, 19, 20-year-old. and you're learning, and you want to plant seeds that are going to carry over in this game as well as in life later on. And you might not see it develop. You might be the one that plants it. Somebody else has to water it and see it grow later.
Leo Weiss like a shortstop from the hole, sidearm sling out of play.
And that's a pass that Florida's going to want to get up in the air. You don't want to allow the defense too low. You get a tip like that. If you loft it up a little bit, you put it just where Florida can play, because you have your player in that position on the downside. She wants that ball up in the air.
Frida Buhner is in, the freshman from Germany. She's played with the national system in the country. This goes off the feet of Aliyah Ellis out of bounds. You're excited about Buhner, the freshman
absolutely.
German, number 11 in white.
Coming in and watching a little bit of the exhibition game that Florida had, able to come see some of that. And she's a player who plays with a lot of energy. She positions herself down low. I think she has the potential to be a real workhorse for this Florida team, coming in and doing the things, the little things, a blue-collar player. But she played it, from overseas. You kind of play at more of a professional level over there. It's done a little bit differently than in America. So you have a different mindset coming in, and you can see that she comes with that professionalism. And she can stretch the floor for this Florida team. She tries to get positioned down low as Correa hits another three.
Second tray for Leilani Correa. She can fill it up. Last year had a career-high 63-point makes at St. John's. Nice feed inside Subarats. Ellis couldn't field it cleanly. Pinballs amidst the bodies. High kiss off the window.
And Coach Pillow talked about she wants to see more from her post-production, and she sees that in that last possession.
Correa, does she try another? Buhner. Lost it. Grizzle will push. Don't have numbers. Horton slashes in the pirouette and the floater. Great start from Dylan Horton.
And Horton coming in, having played in the ACC at Virginia, she knows this level of basketball. So she knows what it takes to come into somebody else's home court. You have to be on from the very beginning, as Jariah Warren with a little floater for Florida, showing that she has the touch. This is the season, I think, for her. She would like to see more steps in the direction. You can see on the drive, just floating it right up above the defense. FAMU just steps right into her, does Ellis. So that's an easy call for that baseline ref. You got to stand straight up. Can't run into the player.
Jariah Warren, coming into being a Gator last year, was the best player in the state of Louisiana. Gatorade Player of the Year in the state. As you see, Jamarian Blair is in, the sophomore guard from Tennessee.
I think this Florida team has a lot of potential on the offensive end, a lot of scores, a lot of natural scores. And I think it's going to be, what they're going to try to look to see is how can we work together to get everybody the ball, to get the points that we need, where we need them, because there's an array of players that play in different ways, and you can use them to better your team on the offensive end to get you different looks depending on who you're playing.
Gators just 33% from the floor to start. Deans from way outside.
KK Dean saying, I have the range and I'm going to pull it from outside early, feeling confident. FAMU has her hands down, and she says, hands down, man down. I'm going to let it fly. 4
of their 6 makes have been from deep as Horton loses it. 7th turnover for Florida A&M in this first quarter.
And this is where Florida, if you can turn over teams, you've got to be able to convert on the offensive end to kind of pull away from a team that's fighting with you right now. I mean, it's an 18-18 ball game. Florida has to make the most of these opportunities when FAMU turns over the basketball.
Deans, again, not shy. Duke gets the offensive board.
I thought she might pull the trigger again on the second time on the pass around.
Good ball movement here on this set. Duke runs into a dead end. Oriyami rips it away for Florida A&M.
And that's where Florida's big. That's the second or third time they've gotten the ball ripped out of their hands. They're going to have to be stronger with the ball down low. You can't bring it down like Faith Duke did, because that's when the hands get on the ball and they get ripped away.
Correa thought she got all ball. Not according to our official on the baseline. Officials tonight, Felicia Grinter, Brian Hall, and Save Esho. Take another look. We'll let you be the judge, Brittany.
On the backside, I'm going to say if they did it, it was a little body foul. They didn't like the contact in, because it looked a lot of all ball from that angle from us with the right hand on the block. But the body contact in to push her off. Maybe they didn't like that too much.
Oriami from Canada. A couple players from the country, 3 in total from Canada. Grizzle, Oriami, and Weeks, the Iona transfer, comes up empty at the line. Looking inside for Faith Duke. Nice step to the rim.
That's what you want to see from your post player. Keep the ball high, go around the defense. The defense was playing a little bit high on the high side of Faith Duke, so she was able to take that step on the baseline side, not put the ball down, keep it high, and put it in.
The Gators have a lead here on a 7-0 run. Near the end of the quarter, Warren, active hands into the Gator bench and met a chest bump from Kelly Ray Finley on that bench. Also, you notice too, and also when you watch the men's game later, the cameras have flipped. Yeah, so Brittany, you can wave to the fans out there as they go up and down the court.
They can see us all the time, and it's a little flip side, but this new court that Florida's put out, the Billy Donovan court, they flipped the logo the opposite way, and it's a beautiful court.
So if you come to the game for the first time, Deans uses the referee. Able to lay it in. The referee is the one who kept that ball in play.
And the emotion from KK Dean afterwards, and that brings in Jariah Warren on that tip play, and wow.
Merritt can't finish. Deans has been the spark plug. We'll call a foul.
You can see that KK Deans is probably going to be the energy maker on this team, and you called it early on. We were talking about it before the game. Who's going to be that new energy maker, especially since Zippy Broughton is not in this game, or not in the games for this season. She can be the energy maker on the bench, but on the court, who is going to be that step-up player? And right now, early on, it looks like KK Dean's going to be that player for Florida.
Hey, Brittany, that was your exact question. You said to me, who's going to be that person, that spark plug when things aren't going well? Well, it's taken about 9 minutes to figure that out with game action. Final 13 of the quarter. Deans in front of the A&M bench. Yeah. Red hot start in her Gator debut in the first quarter for KK Deans. 11 first quarter points.
You like to see when there's some adversity in the game, a game that you're supposed to be up by, and she's taking over right now as KK Deans.
Brittany, the Gators finished the quarter on a 12-0 run, essentially sleepwalking to the first 8 minutes of the season. The Gators have a game-best 7-point lead through one, led by 11 points from KK Deans, using the official to get the transition bucket. Second quarter next. Well, things didn't look too good for the Florida Gators in the opening, 7 minutes of the first quarter, ending that frame on a 12-0 run. And it's one of the newest Gators, KK Deans, 11 points in the opening quarter. Transfer from West Virginia, went through an ACL injury last year. She's gotten right back in her rhythm.
Yeah, and she has 3 threes in the game already. Florida has 5. She has 3 of them. She is a very versatile player. She's played well on defense, got a defense and a steal. You see her hitting another 3 from a different area on the floor. Man, her ability to stretch the floor for this Florida team and bring the energy is going to be really important, I think, this season. And you can see already 11 points. And it's not just 11 points. It's been an impactful 11 points, obviously, in the first half. But Florida needed them. They were down, and she brought it.
Talking about efficiency, 11 points in 7 minutes of work for KK Deans in her first minutes in orange and blue.
And that's what you can do when you can shoot the 3 like that. I mean, it can turn a game around really quick, and you can get points really quick too. But she's feeling it right now. That she's got that hot hand. We'll see if they try to get her even more involved in the offense.
And if you're Florida A&M, you've done just about everything right besides the turnovers. You shot 53% in the first quarter, and you're down 7.
And you came out and you jumped on Florida. You were up 8-0, so that's everything you really did want to do. And then right now, Florida's just saying, hey, we're flexing a little bit. We've got to get back in this game.
9 first quarter turnovers, though, Brittany. That's not good for the Rattlers. Gators at 5. Here's Dylan Horton. They look to her right away. Skylar Baltiger inside Ellis. Tough move off the window. Laya Ellis cuts it down to 5. Gators want to push quickly after makes. Rashea Kyle can't find her first points. Ball knocked out underneath. Will stay with the Gators. Coming off that 21-win season last year, went to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2016. Picked 7th in the SEC preseason coaches poll.
Yeah, and so really, Florida has a lot more pressure on them this year than they really did last year because less was expected. So now how do your players play with that pressure on to to finish even higher, because you want to finish higher than what they even said. Obviously, you want to finish in the top 4 of the SEC. Say, hey, you know, we still think you picked us too low if you're Florida, but you know, they know that this is a team that is going to bring energy and fight and play every game.
One of the biggest surprises in women's college basketball last year.
Absolutely.
Quick hoist from Horton.
And Florida going on, it was like a 6-game SEC win streak that really turned a lot of heads.
Deans finds Rashea Kyle. And what's different with this Florida roster, maybe this year, you have a very talented 6'6" player, Rashea Kyle, who can score. Last year dealt with an injury, only played in 9 games, but if she's healthy, and that is the big qualifier for everything and every athlete, she is going to be a big-time player for this program.
And Florida wants her to be a big-time player, and that's the thing you're looking at right now as she gets her first points as a Florida Gator, correct?
That's right.
Yes, and so she hasn't played. She only played 9 games last season, so she hasn't seen a lot of competition in the games, whereas some of these other transfers, they played last season. So she had to sit out longer than some of the other players. So coming in, getting that feel back of game time, it's different than practice.
Rashea Kyle, first time out of her home state, went to Purdue, native of Marion, Indiana. Ariana Grizzle, former member of the Crimson Tide.
In Indiana, a little bit colder than Florida.
Yeah, I'd say so,
So
especially
she'll
this
have
time
a
of year.
different winter.
Balsiger missed everything. Get the air ball chance, and the Rowdy Reptiles are warming up as well for later. Stony Brook takes on Florida men's basketball in the start of the Todd Golden era.
It should be an exciting game as well.
KK Deans has been the storyline for the orange and blue, number 3 and white. 11 points in the opening quarter in her debut.
Florida patient offensively this series out, really running the ball around the perimeter, keeping the ball in KK Dean. She said, I want to screen to the left. She called that out.
Got to take a step back, though, Brittany.
Yeah, that's one of the
You've
ones
heard
where
me
you want to
throughout
get
the
back.
years. A 20-foot two-pointer is not the best shot in basketball.
one of the worst is when your toes on that three-point line. Ooh.
Grizzle
That
got
ball
away
went
with a
kinda
carry.
high, yeah.
Ricards, active hands defensively. Gators on a leak out. Rashea Kyle off the window. And just like that, it's 10.
And Nina Ricards, a player who's returning for Florida. She's someone who we didn't talk about in the open. We talked about Jordan Mira, but Nina Ricards is the player who prides herself on defense. That was an on-ball defensive steal. She's going to bring that energy defensive as well.
Grizzle a tray. Ellis crashes the offensive glass. Steps through, bounce goes wide, finds Horton. Horton hears a swish.
I was going to Horton here. That's a good one right there. Naturally, you're going to bring that in.
Rimdahl trying to find the answer. Extra fine, Merritt. Too strong. Ricards right there.
But Kyle able to keep it in play. Being that taller 6'6" player, she's getting her hands on a lot of the balls without reaching over, without getting an over the back call. She keeps that play alive.
Here is that Dylan Horton 3 on a pass that I don't think was for her.
I don't think it was either. I think it was a bad pass to the other post player, but it works out well for FAMU as Florida's heads turned thinking the ball was going post to post on that drive. Instead, FAMU gets a 3 out of it.
Mide Oriyami's back in. Ellis takes a seat for the Rattlers. Correa off the baseline, out of bounds. Last touch, Rattlers. Booner will come back in for the Gators. And also, too, a new year. It's interesting to see the different lineups and rotations that you get in game one.
Yeah, absolutely. You're trying to see who's comfortable out there playing together, their comfortability out on the court, who's going to play, what you're going to get out of it. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of new basketball talent. So what works best together?
Kyle misses the shot right at the rim.
FAMU patient, looks for the high-low on the slip, didn't want the screen, but turns it over again.
Deans in transit, Correa runs the floor.
And Dean's court vision, if you see her, she had another long pass that was before half court. She keeps it long enough to draw the defense in, pushes that ball right where her teammate can get it, doesn't have to dribble, goes straight in.
Brittany, half of the Gator points have come off turnovers, 16 of the 32. As we'll have a foul, this will be on Rashea Kyle. Kelly Ray Finley does not like that very much.
You can can see eyes up, she gets it, she pushes it, draws those 2 defenders to her, and Correa just sneaks in on that right side for a layup. That's great transition basketball by Flora.
And Deans last year in her 18 starts averaged just south of 4 assists per game. She can facilitate the rock. Her last 2 years, about 4 assists a game.
And so the thing is, as Florida gets an illegal screen, another turnover for FAMU, they're going to have to clean that up. That's something that's going to be talked about at halftime, I'm sure, is with KK Deans, she not only can score the basketball, and she's a scorer, she can pass the ball. She has a high basketball IQ, sees the floor very well. We're seeing that here tonight, and as you talked about, 4 assists, which means she had games that were 5, 6, 7 assists probably.
Gators with a 5 of Deans, Booner, Dute, along with Ricards and Correa. Deans turns the corner downhill, got deflected. Oriami rips it out of the air. Threw it to Subarats, who wasn't looking for it. Another Rattler turnover. Correa threads it in traffic, and we're having a turnover party here on opening night. Oriami.
That's going to be offensive off the ball.
Subarats just sent Deans into the first row.
Subarats did a little forearm shove on the offside. KK Dean trying to get over to play defense, but couldn't get there. You can see in transition, just a little shoulder shove off. KK Deans might have sold that a little bit.
I think so too, Brittany.
But sometimes you got to sell it. She couldn't get there. She wasn't going to get there because of the bump. Might as well try to sell it. Not Oscar season quite yet, but.
Well, 4 minutes to forget for the Rattlers. 5 turnovers in that span. Now 14 for the half. Ricards a long 2, untrue. Correa gets another rebound and gets fouled.
That's a great rebound. Active guards on the rebounding front for Florida. That happened last year. I think that's going to be something that steps into this season as well. Florida likes to have guards who can rebound the basketball. You can see coming around, just a swipe down. That's an easy call for the referee. You're always going to get that foul call when you swipe down.
I believe that was on Oriami.
Yeah,
if
I think so,
that's her 3rd already.
If they didn't call her on her, she got away with one because she's the one that swiped down. So
they got Baltiger actually, so that's just still 2 on Oriami and the 1st on Baltiger. Gators a much improved free throw percentage team last year. Brittany, they were 2nd in the conference at the line.
Shot 73% from the free throw line.
That was unheard of if Gator teams of years past. They really struggled at the line. Ellis, a hop step. Duke, the denial. Deans will run. Throws it low. Ricards fields it. Able to rescue that bad pass. Now they'll slow it up. Plenty of shot clock. Merritt steps to the cup. No and 1, but we'll get 2.
I like the attack by Jordan Merritt. She didn't just settle for the jumper at the elbow where she had it. FAMU is off balance. She drives right into the defense, creates the contact that's going to get her to the line. But you see the block by Faith Duke staying straight up. And then in transition, they're pushing the ball up the floor. That's a great block by Faith Duke, making something new happen on the defensive end. And then offensively, Jordan Merritt pushes into the defense and gets that foul call.
And Duke led the team in blocks last year at that 6'4" stature, just 26 blocks. She led the way, and a team that did not get many block shots. We mentioned it off the top. Jordan Merritt due for a big year. Had a frustrating end to last season. Ended on a concussion in the NCAA tournament. Did not get to play in their lone tournament game against UCF. That concussion happened in the SEC tournament. Really was having a breakout year shooting the basketball.
And she's a player for Florida. If they can use her sometimes at that 3 position, stretch it out. When they were in the starting position, really, she's at that 3 is what they're doing right now with Kyle and Faith Duke. So we'll see if they continue to do that. But her ability to shoot from outside will really help Florida.
Ricards revs the engine and kicked it out of bounds. World Cup's coming up. Ricards, that was her tryout. We'll step aside, breaking the action past the midway mark in the second quarter. Gators now in command by 12. Rowdy's getting after it early in the new season. Opening night here for the first of 2 games here inside Exact Tech Arena. Gators up by 12 here in the second quarter. We alluded to it last year. What a season it was for the Florida Gators. First 20-win season in the last 5 years. Made the NCAA tournament for the first time in 2016. But the high-quality wins they got throughout the journey, Brittany, had jolted them to as high as 15th in the AP Top 25.
And they earned that, too. They went on the road. They had big wins. They came home. They had big wins. And what did that do? That brought excitement to this program. It put fans in the seats. It put the excitement that's here today, this afternoon. And I think that that's what's the important thing, to step in the right direction, is just, you learn from last season and you continue that this season. You continue to do those things and make those strides even bigger this year.
You're talking to Kelly Rae Finley, who was an intern for most of that success until February 28th. You get the sense whenever you bring up a year ago, she doesn't want to talk a whole lot about it because she doesn't want these players that were here to look back on the successes they had. They want them to look forward.
Absolutely, and you have a lot of new faces on this roster who weren't here last season to experience that. You want them to experience that themselves this season. Get those big wins on the road in the SEC. Make a name, get ranked, build yourself up in the rankings. Get higher than 15th this year.
Of note, no Kiki Smith, of course, who's graduated, who averaged about 17 points in SEC play. Still around the program as a practice player.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things where you come into the season and you say, hey, who's going to fill this void for us? Is it going to be a community of players? And Florida has brought in a lot of scorers to fill that void. I mean, it's a void that is hard to fill. She's a player that, did so much for this program. She could score. She was a leading rebounder, assist, steals, points. She did it all for this Florida program, and who in this season is going to step up and fill that role for them?
And you alluded to it, no Zippy Broughton, who has a season-ending injury before the season ever began, who was their best player down the stretch.
Absolutely. In the SEC, she was averaging 14.5 points per game. She was bringing the energy. She was, making up for when they lost Kiki towards the end of the season. And she was looking forward to coming in and making a difference for this team, being a leader. And so, that's what they're looking for as well. Who's going to be that leader and step up on the court when the coach is on the other end? In those huddles where you're together and not on the sidelines, where's the leadership going to come from?
A&M looking for some points at the moment. Their top bucket getter from last year, Dylan Horton, at the controls. Approaching 4 to go. Gators hounding defense, only 5 to shoot. Ricard's the deflection. Teens has been in the middle of everything so far. Only one player doesn't get it off. Oh, and knocked down the 3, but late.
A little too late for it, but it was nice. She got it off, got the feeling of it. And the coach kind of saying, we were shot beforehand, let it fly. But Florida doing a great job defensively to slow FAMU down, not allow them to get a shot, a look at the basket. That's another turnover for them. And I think that's something that Florida's going to look at this season. We've got to be able to stop people on the defensive end in a consistent manner.
It was Florida A&M who scored the first 8 points of this game. Deans jumps from 3, halfway down. Dean shot at about 31% from the arc last year at West Virginia. Had that ACL injury in late January, right in the heart of conference play.
So excited to be back on the court. Very excited she is to be back on this court.
Ricards picks up the foul. That's her second. Team fouls, that's the Gators' 4th of the quarter, so one away from putting the Rattlers in the bonus as Leah Weish enters in. Five points in the quarter for Florida A&M.
A little bit different than their first quarter outing. They had 8 points in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Grizzle steps down the lane, pair of number 5s dueling on that drive. Here's Rimdahl. Merritt had a good look, slashes in, lost it as she leapt, but not void of contact. Stacia Allen in the fray will pick up the foul.
And Merritt quiet early in this game right now, just 4 points, sitting 1 of 6 from the field. You like to see her continue to be aggressive when she gets the basketball if you're Florida.
Jariah Warren in for the Gators. Ricards takes a seat. The Gators have slowed down offensively as well in this quarter, just one of their last 9. They've only scored 10 for the frame, and right now the lead just resting at 12. So it's been an ugly quarter on both sides.
Florida would like to change that going into half. This last 3 minutes I'll be interested to see if maybe they jump into a little bit of a press to extend this lead some, get some energy back in the building to go into half.
Gators just 25% for the quarter.
And a little just on-ball, full-court pressure by Florida. I think they want to get a little bit more energy back in here, turn FAMU over a little bit.
Just 2 shots made in this quarter from Florida A&M.
Just like that.
And a turnover. Rimdahl rips it away. Deans, the sidestep and the extra
call
step.
with the travel.
Oh, yeah.
She's
do that in the NBA,
it.
maybe.
Yeah, that's a little smile on the face. You know you took an extra step. The defense stepped up. FAMU did a good job of stepping up, cutting off the lane she had to the basket. You got to just laugh about it.
Timeout, Florida A&M. Gators by 14. So the storylines to begin this one. KK Deans already 13 points. How about Leilani Correa with an early 11 for her 3 of 6? We haven't talked much about her and her efficient start to begin her Gator career. Already in double figures for the St. John's transfer.
Efficient from the floor. 3 of 6, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. She's 3 of 4 from the foul line right now. She has 3 rebounds. I mean, she's 2 assists. She's really shown that she can do it all for Florida as well. And in only how many minutes has she played? But, you know, she comes in as a scorer. She knows how to put the ball in the basket, average 17 points, just over 17 points per game. And she brings energy as well.
There's Kelly Ray Finley, who's working with a transformed staff. Julian Asibe returns in his 3rd year. Tamisha Augustin, 1st year, along with Cynthia Jordan, who has had so many years with Dawn Staley at South Carolina, played under Dawn Staley at Temple.
That's some experience on your bench right there.
Yeah.
For sure. And on cue, she's standing up, talking about the defense and all of that type of. She brings, talk about energy. She's an energy player as well.
Stacia Allen from the mid-range.
So lots of new faces for this Florida team.
Yeah,
on the bench, in the coaching, and with the players.
So much turnover every year around the country.
Yeah. And I mean, with the transfer portal now, I think you're going to see that so much more often.
Foul underneath. Leah Weish will get a pair of free throws as the Gators in the bonus.
You called it. This game has definitely slowed down.
It's a second on Stacia Allen. Rattlers just won 4 games last year, all within SWAC play. They're picked to finish 10th in the 12-team league. Preseason favorite Jackson State. And of course, no mystery, preseason favorite in the SEC. That is South Carolina, the defending national champion.
Also picked to win the SEC. You said that, right? Picked to win the SEC, but they're #1 overall.
Yeah. Preseason #1.
Yeah.
And you got Tennessee, who looks like the Pat Summitt Tennessee teams in the late 90s.
They've turned it back around.
Rattlers having trouble breaking this press at the moment.
I was thrown with your Jackson State because now that's like well known because of their football. Deion Sanders. I was going to make a comment with primetime, and then you switched right over.
Lead stretched out to 14. Horton had a hot start. Has a couple of trays. Grizzle with 10. Oriami stops on a dime, missed everything. We'll have a foul on the floor. This will be on Leah Weish.
Weish trying to box out on the baseline side, but caught her in the air. She was trying to get a rebound. Florida in the bonus. Florida A&M is going to get 2 shots.
And so Allen goes to the line, 65% foul shooter last year.
Well, see if it holds true this year.
Well, the Rattlers struggle to shoot in every facet of it, whether it's from the field or behind the arc or at the free throw line.
Huh?
Allen says,
50-50.
Quiet to you.
Florida patiently waiting on the offensive end. You like to see that sometimes. Florida A&M in a 2-3 zone. Some investigative drives, as you like to call it.
Leah Weish bumping bodies in the lane. Stacia Allen wins that battle. Why do you think they switch to the zone here? How does that maybe help them?
I think on the they're getting beat off the ball on ball screens. They're getting drives to the basket. It allows you to collapse a little bit more inside on Florida's post players. and the size that Florida has, as well as the drives to the basket that Florida was getting. Florida was getting good drives to the basket, so Florida A&M kind of switching it up, giving Florida a different look here to close out the half.
Rimdahl still can't cash in from deep. Merritt got swatted, and Grizzle got some body as well. After getting a bucket on the other end, picks up a foul. That's her third foul.
It's interesting, yeah, because Florida A&M's a team who likes to play man-to-man defense, I think, or in previous seasons. So sometimes you have to switch it up, especially when you're undersized like FAMU is right now.
And they foul a lot. They did in their exhibition game as well against West Florida. Fouled 27 times, gave up 25 free throw attempts in their exhibition.
They're sitting at 12 right now. We could see the same number here this evening.
6 of 6 for Jordan Merritt at the line.
And that's where Jordan Merritt's getting her points right now, is from the free throw line. Only 1 of 6 from the field, but she's finding a way to get points and to get on the score sheet. And that's from the line, being aggressive and attacking the basket.
Dangerous pass cross court. Rimdahl got a hand on it. One of their best defenders. And she takes it away right on cue. 40 seconds to go for the half. Deans will run. Deans will kick. Rimdahl can't hit. Still searching.
That was a good kick out. KK Deans wanted it for her teammate. She drew the defense in. She knows where shooters want the ball. That was a good look. She was unable to fall. We talk about Birdie and the defense that she brings. Her defensive pressure helps her teammates out. She's a great on-ball defender and probably doesn't get enough credit for it.
And Kelly said their defensive metrics are off the charts when Rimdahl's on the floor.
And one of the things is she's a great communicator, and her on-ball pressure allows the backside. So if her pressure is so high, it allows you to do other things behind her, because the person with the ball can't see, but also off the ball, she puts people in the right position. She does the thing. She's off the ball great. She plays cat and mouse with her defender.
Well, Horton here at the line. That's just their 5th attempt, and Horton hits both. The Gators have not had a field goal in the last 6 minutes. Rimdahl has started 0 for 5. Gives it up. Deans was the hot hand in the first quarter. They close out on her. Step back, James Harden-like. Doesn't go.
Pressure up with 7 seconds. We'll see how Florida defends this.
3 seconds for the half. Horton, last year's leading scorer, doesn't get the roll, and that brings us to a close, Brittany, of the first half.
Yeah, almost got the bounce. Florida A&M comes out strong, but Florida has a response, and the response comes with KK Dean and the energy that she was bringing, and that just went throughout the team. Florida playing a lot better to close out the first quarter, and then in the second quarter.
Both teams struggled offensively in that second frame. Gators trailed 8-zip in the first 3 minutes of this game, have an 11-point lead going into half. Gators and Rattlers to kick off the new season halftime show when we come back. SEC played at Tennessee. Assistant Matthew Mitchell, former assistant at Florida was Matthew Mitchell, but was at Kentucky for 5 seasons as well. Also spent some time at Middle Tennessee State before getting the Florida A&M job. Gators will send it underneath for Kyle, gets back her own miss and hooks it up and in. So for Rashae, Kyle gets her 2nd bucket as a Gator. I think the Rattlers need a big early response here in this third quarter.
The Rattlers want the start that they had to the game. They want to go on an 8-0 spurt like they did to start the game and get back into this and bring some energy, bring some excitement back to their team.
Gators shot just 32% for the first half. Rashae Kyle a little bit hesitant and almost turned it over. Looking for cards and a backdoor cut.
And I think a lot of that on the offensive end, some of those were not good shots. Some of them were good shots that just didn't fall yet in the offense. And they're open shots that you want to take, that you want to see fall. You got to get comfortable with knocking those shots down if you're Florida. And then Florida or FAMU, excuse me, on the defensive end. They're going back right now, staying in a little bit of a 2-3 zone in the underneath out of bounds.
Jordan Merritt lines it up, had the open look, can't hit. Quick takeaway, Ricards. Turnovers continuing to pile up now, 18 for Florida A&M.
And Florida did a good job in the first half of converting off of off of steals and off of turnovers that FAMU had. You want to continue to do that here. That's what you want to see. And when it gets tougher and tougher competition, you want to be able to get points when you get turnovers.
KK Dean's got her shot swatted by Grizzle, and Horton out of the fray with it. Gators had multiple opportunities. Oriami splashes it down in front of her own bench.
Oriami playing with confidence from Purdue. She's also played at that high level. She's seen a lot of high-level basketball. She's an athletic forward that's very active, can stretch the floor as we saw.
This is her third stop in NCAA basketball. Started at Northeastern. Shea Kyle can't hit. Similar start to the first quarter for the Gators to start this third. Dylan Horton, quick pull-up pop, rips the net. Back-to-back buckets for the Rattlers, and it's down to 7. Nice response out of the half.
And FAMU probably talking about you got to chip away at the lead. Florida has a lead. We need to chip away, get stops, get stops, and then convert on the offensive end. And that's what they're doing. Florida needs to have a response here on the offensive end.
Again, going with that 2-3 zone that we saw employed in that second quarter. Faith Dute, long two, untrue, swirls around and out, and the Gators go one and done.
And now Florida are going to have the opportunity to work on their offensive sets, and zone offensive sets, move without the basketball. You're going to see, you can still put some on-ball screens in, but what do you do flashing to the basket and finding those openings in the middle of the zone? The forwards have to be active.
Deans runs the floor. Dute the putback, no, and a cold start to this third.
And FAMU playing great defense, staying straight up and not fouling, something that they fouled a lot in the first half, and they get another turnover, active on defense. We'll see if this leads to a bit of a timeout for Florida, and it does.
Yeah, Kelly Ray Finley has seen just about enough. So the starting 5 in this third quarter, it has not been good for the Florida Gators. It's cut down to 5. Rattlers right back in at midway mark here in the third.
Crowd going and get them back into a bigger lead.
Do they go to KK Deans again as that energy supplier? They'll go to Merritt. Knocks down a 3. They had to have it.
And that's what you have to do if you're Florida. You got to make the defense move, especially in a zone. And you're going to have to shoot them out of the zone. That's what they like to say a lot of the times, or slashes to the basket to pull them out. But right there, moving the ball, make the defense move on the fly of the ball, and they didn't move on the fly of the ball, and you got an open 3.
Grizzle tries to turn the corner. The fend off, and another block for Faith Duke. Deans rainbows it ahead for Merritt. Smartly pulls it out, but tripped. That's Subarats who picks up the foul, and that's her second.
KK Dean showing a lot of her court vision. In full court over 6-7 players. She puts that up, kind of lofts it over. Usually you don't want to have that loft pass, but that was a good pass in transition to put it right where her player could get it, and then bringing it out because the defense had recovered back in transition. FAMU did a good job of getting back in transition, and then getting caught with the foul. Florida now has it in the half court. And FAMU staying in the 2-3 zone, it looks like.
Merritt, quick hoist again, drills it, back-to-back trays for Jordan Merritt.
And Jordan Merritt, who was quiet from the field in the first half, now back-to-back 3s, 6 points. She's sitting in double figures and flirting with a double-double, really. 14 points, 6 rebounds.
Yeah, Merritt had 8 points in the first half, but 6 of those from the foul line. Subarats at 3, has the response, swirls it in.
And great response by FAMU to cut this run that Florida was going on.
Foul upon entry to go on Skylar Baltiger. Both teams starting to heat up from distance. Jordan Merritt back-to-back 3s.
And the ball reversal, and both 3s came from the exact same spot. You can see again the 3 on the defensive end to respond. With FAMU, they get it back. And Florida's late to come out defensively to get a hand in the face.
Baseline out of bounds. That was the 3rd on Baltiger. So she takes a seat. Merritt trying to take over in the third. Average double figures last year. Had to sit out the NCAA tournament game with a concussion. Oriyami got tripped. This will go on Leah Weish. That's her second.
Out of position, gets caught with a little almost hip check, kind of leg foul on the lane to the basket.
Free throws were heavily lopsided in Florida's favor in the first half. Florida A&M now will take 13 and 14 in terms of attempts for the game. Gators at 21. As Deans comes out, Alberti Rimdahl's trying to get going. Scoreless in the first half, comes in.
And you'd like to see, if you're Florida, see her get in the score sheet here in the third quarter.
Oriyami, one season at Purdue, averaged a shade below 2.5 points per game, misses both. Rimdahl will play the point with this 5 on the floor. Merritt got fouled. This is Horton. Step aside, that's Horton's first. A lot of whistles here in this third. Gators stretch it out to 8, midway mark in this third frame. Back here inside Exact Tech Arena, Gators in 8-point lead here in the middle of the third quarter. Florida got some news in the offseason that they would be without one of their best players, and that's Sippy Broughton, who last year when Kiki Smith went down with injury, Lavender Briggs had transferred halfway through the season in SEC play. She became a starter, and boy was she productive. 14 points in SEC play, over 2 assists, and she was the lifeblood of this team.
When they needed her to step up, she did just that. She brought the emotion. She brought the energy defensively. She prides herself in her defense as well. She's one of those ones that likes to create defense and then turn it into offense. And she's a scorer as well. And she will definitely be missed, but she's also on the sidelines coaching them up, always in huddles, always trying to make everyone better, seeing what she can see on the floor and help them any way that she can.
Jariah Warren will give it up for Merritt. Can't stick another 3 in this third. Leah Weish make that. That is Leah Weish, who flips it up and in with the bucket.
And that's a great rebound and putback. A nice power move around the defense. FAMU stays straight up. She goes around them and puts it in. She got the ball at the high point to get the rebound, and then she's going to catch a foul on the defensive end, playing a little bit too high, tried to hook the backside with the offhand, but the baseline ref saw the hand and made the call.
5 total whistles in this quarter, just the second team foul for the Gators. Faith Dute comes in. Leah Weish, after the bucket and foul, takes a seat. Dylan Horton, they're going to need a lot of her if they want to get back into it. Jordan Merritt has the rebound ripped away. Ball still loose, and Warren, amidst the fray, does find Merritt. Rimdahl now will push. Correa, double figures in her Gator debut, had Rimdahl open in the corner. Elects for a 2 off the mark. And now Warren steps through. The Gators just can't buy a bucket in this third.
But keeping it alive on the offensive glass, getting a tip back, didn't grab the rebound, but was able to tip it back to her guards out on the 3-point line.
Warren open look. Rims out. Correa, another offensive rebound. Finally, the Gators get the stick back.
And Correa, a guard for Florida that is really active on the offensive boards. We saw it in the first half, but really moving around and bringing, the game back to her in second and third chance opportunities for her team.
Meanwhile, Dylan Horton travels in the backcourt as Alberta's in the house amidst the Rowdy Reptiles.
Getting ready for the doubleheader.
Haven't seen Albert yet. Have to be on the lookout for him.
Maybe he's making his debut and
the
boys come out.
Stony Brook's in town. Myself, Mark Wise, will have the call around 8 o'clock right here on SEC Network Plus. Faith Dute, nice footwork in the lane. Stacia Allen picks up the foul, so the Gators go to the line for, this is their first free throw attempts of this second half after 21 in the opening 20 minutes.
And keeping the ball high, not putting it on the ground. She's able to get the foul call, and the defense can't dig in because she didn't put the ball on the floor when she was making the move. Kept it high, put it around on the left-hand side.
I should say for the Gators, I was looking at the threes column. This is the 16th free throw attempt of the game.
I think there's been a lot of
And a rare miss from the Gators. As Dude splits a pair, Gators now 13 of 17 from the line. Jamarian Blair is in, sophomore guard from Cleveland, Tennessee. Florida A&M still out shooting the Gators 49% for the game, but it's been those turnovers. Here's a double, and another turnover. Deans came flying in. Correa couldn't make the leaping grab.
It's a little bit too high, and Florida going to get back into a little bit of pressure here. Pushing back up the full court press.
This is something Kelly Ray Finley wanted to see this team get better at. It's just the overall defensive intensity. Ariana Grizzle gets fouled on the floor. This is the third team foul for the Gators, so no free throws. Second on Jordan Merritt. Grizzle nearing double figures now with 8. They're led by Horton with right at her season average last year, 16 points for the night. More to spur scoring for the Rattlers this year with some of the transfers they brought in. Here's the aforementioned Horton. 23 on 23. Pick and roll feed. Allen goes up high. Subaretz, a 3. Off the heel. Grizzle the offensive rebound. Scurries in, got fouled.
And Florida just misses box out on that shot. That was a great catch on the roll, or the little slip down by FAMU, and then a kick out for the three-pointer. Florida misses the box out, and FAMU gets the rebound and finds themselves at the line.
I think one thing that Florida's going to scratch their head about at the moment, they're only +4 in the rebounding margin against Florida A&M. That's not a good start.
Only +4, but on the offensive end, Kyle, Florida has 18 offensive rebounds to FAMU's 5. And that's one of the big reasons why they have 56 shot attempts right now to FAMU's 36.
Yeah, 20 more shots they've put up in this game. And it's down to 11. Still this 2-3 zone.
2-3 zone.
Not sure the Gators have completely figured it out yet.
Great flash though on the backside by Jordan Merritt. FAMU's all their defense was eyes on the ball. They didn't even see the flash coming, and that's what Florida's got to do. They've got to pick apart this zone. If their heads are turned, sneak behind them, and Florida's guards have to be able to see that. That's a great backside flash.
And that's the key to breaking it, right? Find those backside cuts to the rim.
Backside cuts, drives, you still got to drive it in. If you can drive it into the gut of the zone as well, that's going to make them collapse and then slip back on that backside for a little dump down, backside layup, kick it out for a 3 because all the defenses collapsed in, especially when you see FAMU, they're ball watching in this zone some.
7 of 7 at the line tonight for Jordan Merritt.
And that's something huge. If you can get your, big to be able to shoot from the free throw line, or if she's playing that stretch 3, the way that she flashed in, anybody and everybody wants to shoot well from the three-point line, but free throw line, excuse me. But especially players who are going to play around the rim. You want them to be able to shoot well from the free throw line.
Get a blocking foul here. I believe this will be Jariah Warren. Picks up the foul. That's going to be her first.
Where you'd like to see Florida clean it up a little bit is on the defensive end. They've sent FAMU to the line a lot more this half than they did the first half.
And Florida A&M in this half have taken 4 attempts. It's 5 and 6 here at the line. Got 6 for the entire half to begin the night. Subaretz hits both, and it's down to 10. Ricard's an athletic catch. Has to investigate inside. Got blocked out of bounds by Grizzle.
I mean, credit FAMU getting back on defense, not allowing the head pass for an easy bucket.
Deans the trigger in. The cutting Warren and lips off the rim. Brittany, you like that action on the baseline out of bounds.
I saw it right there. The slip in. The defense had to go out with a 3-point shooter because they played high side on that 2-3 zone. The bottom of the 2-3 slipped out with a 3-point shooter, and then you see Jariah Warren just sliding right in behind the defense, and that's going to get you to the foul line. She wanted the and one.
That was Ellis, and that's her third, so has to come out. Sending Warren to the stripe. Last year, 75% foul shooter. Didn't get there a whole lot. Averaged about 7 minutes per game. Could see that balloon here in year 2.
Absolutely.
Presents good length from that guard position. This one thrown high. Dylan Horton met immediately by a double. And a kick save and a butte from Jordan Merritt out of bounds.
And I think Florida's ability to press full court is going to become key later on in this season as they build upon it, because they can rotate so well. So you go out there and you play hard and you get a little bit of a break and you get to come back in. So you can play that aggressive style full court defense more often when you have the ability, especially at the guard position like Florida does this season. Lots of active hands, lots of quick guards, lots of players who like to play defense and like to turn defense into offense.
Horton can't connect with Oriami into the courtside seats. That's another difference to Exactech Arena this year. You don't have the tables courtside. You actually have courtside seats with the fans' feet on the hardwood.
I think that's going to bring a different level for the fans and the interactions that they have, because when the ball is getting inbounded on the sideline, they're kind of right there. It's about a foot or two. You're not able to see some of those. You got your courtside seats. You said you always wanted.
Hide those drinks.
Yeah, because
make sure there's a mop.
There's going to have to be. I think you're going to have a mop, because you see how close they are. They really have a game experience being on the court.
And Brittany, we sat in those seats for the exhibition game as Grizzle, wild attempt, gets fouled by Correa, and I was kind of a little antsy just in case. You always have to keep one eye on the game. There's no head in your phone when you're sitting courtside.
I was literally about to say that you cannot have your head down unless the ball's on the opposite side of the court, because you might get a player coming at you. So it's always active. Got to have your head on a swivel if you're on the courtside seats.
Grizzle to the stripe from Toronto, Canada. One of 3 players on this roster from up north.
It's also a different weather change from Canada to Florida.
That's right. Played only 20 games with the Crimson Tide over 3 seasons. Gators space it out against this zone. Correa, angle tray. Left short, another stop for Florida A&M. We'll get a foul here on Jordan Merritt. And that's going to be her 3rd.
And if you're Florida, you'd like to see the threes start falling a little bit more consistently, especially while FAMU's in this zone. Only 7 of 24, but they had hit 5. They only hit 2 threes here in the second half, of both those coming from Jordan Merritt.
So Merritt picks up her 3rd. Florida A&M in the bonus. Both teams will be shooting for the final 90 seconds. Most of the damage that the Rattlers have done in this quarter has come from the free throw line. 16 points apiece. Now the Rattlers have outscored the Gators coming out of the locker room.
You can clearly see that this is a team with a lot of fight. They're going to come in and work hard from the start of the horn to the end of the horn.
You can see there's a whole lot of gelling that needs to take place for the Gators at the moment. I talked to Kelly before the game today, and she says, you have all the practices and all that, but I still don't know what I'm going to get out of my team here in game action, bright lights, all that.
It's different. You can even simulate it. You can have practice players come in. You can do it your scrimmage type game against each other. But it's different when you're playing another team, when there's fans involved, when you're in. You practice at the practice court, but you play at Exactech Arena. And so it's a different look, it's a different feel, and like you said, you got to play with some lineups to see what works when at what point in the game, and that's what you're learning with a new team.
Approaching the final minute here in the 3rd. Deans, they've shut her down a little bit here in the 3rd. Post touch, Merritt off the spin, can't find the touch. Ball's loose, Merritt reclaims another offensive rebound. Deans, the floater, gets the roll.
A good rebound by Jordan Merritt. She took the baseline. That's what the defense gave her. They played on her high side. She couldn't convert it, but she stays with it, gets the rebound, kicked back out to, he said KK Deans has gotten a little bit quiet. She drove in, tried to get the and one, but was able to connect.
Brittany pointed this out before, but the Gators have taken 23 more shots than the Rattlers because of turnovers. Horton. Low percentage shot, Warren the rebound. Gators can hold for the final shot, 23 to go for the quarter.
And you see the bench getting active. It's a very active bench as well. The excitement on the sidelines that Florida has. And, you know, there's 3 players standing up and they had 1 finger up. Hey, 1, 1, 1. So it's not just the coaches relaying it. The players are stepping up and saying, hey, we want 1 shot.
Well, now 7 seconds, time to go for Deans. Only 4 to go. 2. Deans will have to hoist a difficult fall away, left short, maybe waited too long. And that'll bring us to a close of the third. Well, Florida A&M continues to stick around. They were down 11 at the half, down 11 through 3. 4th and final frame here in the opener. That's next. Fans of all ages in the house. You see the Golden Era t-shirts for the debut of Todd Golden coming up after this. Fans getting those as they walk in the door. Well, the Gators, a lot of uncertainty to start the year because they
haven't played, you know, competitive basketball at this level because of the injuries. So they're getting back into the groove themselves, and as well as being put on a new team and how that's all, you know, going to mesh together.
A&M starts with it to start the 4th quarter, trying to come from 11 points down to start the final frame. Subarats inside Baltiger. Only 5 to shoot for number 5, Grizzle. And a foul late in the clock.
Really? Yeah, she's going to say okay with it, but it's a high on-ball screen. She kind of had to play up on her defender. So, you know, just, I guess, hands off. They said 2 hands on. Now you just have to adjust the way that you're playing defense because, you know, that's the way that they're calling the game.
That's just Rimdal's first.
Yeah.
One of the better defenders for the Gators. Locked up with the Alabama transfer. Horton, 16 tonight.
Horton wanting an on-ball screen, then flips it over to the corner, but not a shootable pass. So the drive comes, and then Florida just getting out-rebounded on the boards right there.
Good block underneath. Rashea Kyle out of bounds. It's the Gators' 3rd block tonight.
It's a good block. When you have 6'6" down low, you can sometimes miss a rebound. Florida playing active. You see man-to-man defense. FAMU doing a little weave offense, also calling for some on-ball screens. They like the on-ball screen action. They've slipped a couple. They missed the slip there. They thought the roll was going to happen, and she stood too long on the screen.
And Baltiger didn't roll.
No,
Deans will
she did
hoist off the mark. Gators go 1 and done. Horton quickly in transition. That's what she does so well. Gets out, runs, and scores.
Horton didn't want to go in. Kyle was getting back defensively, ran back really well. She didn't want to go in there where Kyle just had a block to get blocked, so she smartly pulls up and drops it.
Gators have had 26 attempts from 3. Rashea Kyle drop step and the deuce.
Florida need that, a 9-point game. That makes it 11. Got 8 minutes here. Florida's still pressuring up. Needs to get some consistent stops here if you're Florida.
Left short. Oriami can't connect, goes out of bounds. Well, can Florida A&M, they've gotten enough in terms of stops defensively. Can they string together enough consistent offense to make this at some point in the 4th quarter a 1-possession game?
Absolutely. That's what they're trying to do. And if you're Florida, you want to not allow that to happen. Florida's got to convert here offensively consistently.
Still facing this 2-3 zone. Gators elect to go into the post, into a double. Rashea Kyle the fend off and back-to-back buckets.
And you'd like to see maybe here for Florida use Kyle in this zone. Seal the backside. It's there. You have size against the backside of the zone. So bring the ball over to one side on this right side. Seal the backside and give her a lob to the corner of the basket.
Grizzle, a lot of dribbling. Got it back. Recycle 20. Horton. Faith Dude, skies high. Gators playing a bigger lineup. Rashea Kyle and Faith Dude on the floor. Deans drive and kick. Rimdahl off the mark. Still remains scoreless.
And Florida's bigs have got to run back to rebound the basketball. Both of them almost just nearly at half court on that offensive possession.
Rimdahl 0 for 6 tonight. The Gators in last year, when she's had her struggles, they want her to continue to shoot. Grizzle be called for travel on that high hedge from Faith Dute.
Almost looking like a little bit of a trap. Kind of gets FAMU. They reverse out, but instead forgot to put the ball down. They pushed it up. Great little high hedge mini trap by Florida.
Grizzle comes out. Jamarian Blair in. Faith Dute took a seat for the Gators, now playing a smaller lineup with Merritt now on the floor. Merritt with 15 tonight. Inside, Kyle again can't finish.
Trying to get a 9th rebound. She wants to get that double-double. She's got 8 rebounds as Jordan Merritt.
And that's been their answer in this 4 to the 2-3 zone. Dump it inside to Rashea Kyle.
And that's what you need to do. You have size advantage down low. Position yourself off the ball and allow your guards to dribble in. You've got quick guards, Florida does. They can beat you off the dribble.
We'll see who it was out on. Gators thought it was out on Florida A&M. They might have a case.
They might have a case. They're getting it tipped out of Jordan Merritt's hand. And the ball kind of went towards that's what coach is kind of saying. The ball tipped that way. But needless to say, Florida A&M is going to get the ball, so Florida's got to pick up the defensive here in their full court.
Subarak.
There she slips that time.
Pick and roll. Ellis bounces one inside right towards Correa.
And that was great defense by Correa. She came over on the roll because Florida's bigs was hedged out. That's what you have to do, and that's where you get the steal. You get the steal out of like the slip or the roll on the pass.
Rimdahl got walloped at the bucket.
That's a lot of body contact that they have called throughout this game, but I like the aggressive play. You know, Birdie Rimdahl is a player that's going to drive in. She's not afraid of contact, but that was a lot of body contact for the way that this game has been ref.
Yeah.
And she just kind of smiles and plays it off. She's a player who she'll continue to drive to the basket. She's not just a three-point threat.
Baseline out of bounds. Inside, Kyle again, a quick post touch. She's starting to take over here in this 4th.
And you got a little post-to-post action, high-low, Florida using the inside, and you've got to dominate down low if you're Florida right now. You have the size advantage, you have the height, and you have the talent down low. You got to use it.
Well, if you're in the courtside seats, you get a souvenir
There you go.
Kickball in their direction.
That's what you talked about. You got to have your head, eyes up.
Yeah. Eyes up at all times. Kelly Ray Finley starting her first full year as head coach of the Florida Gators and trying to get off to a 1-0 start. Grizzle, the veteran guard. First year with an increased role here with Florida A&M. Just 5 to shoot. Grizzle has to go to work. Will hoist. It was a long 2. Rashea Kyle at that 6'6" frame has another rebound. Quickly in transit, Correa, quick load up. She buries it.
And that's a response Florida needed on offense. Big 3. She's been quiet for a little while. She wanted to let one fly. It knocks down. Florida needed that.
Correa, 16 points in her debut. Her 3rd made 3. An efficient night for number 23 as the Gators now comfortably in front by 18.
And Florida, their 3 transfers sit at 16, 15, and 11 points, all of them coming in double figures.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You know, all the transfers have had a big impact here tonight. They're going to need them throughout the season.
And they bring the experience too. You know, you lose some experience in Kiki Smith and some other players that left the program, but you also have players coming in the transfer position that are juniors, that are seniors, that bring some leadership and just experience to the floor.
This note from Andrew Heil, Gators Sports Information Director. It's the first time since 2016 the Gators have had 4 scoring double figures in a season opener.
And that's what you want to see as a team and as a coach, passing the ball around, making the extra pass, but a lot of people involved. It's not one player that has 37 points and nobody else is scoring. It's equal scoring around, because then your threats, and it's easier to get offensive looks just like that as
Correa hits for the mid-range. Gators have cracked 70. Now Correa with 18. Gators have scored the last 11, and it's been a struggle in this frame for the Rattlers. Just 2 points in the 4th. This was a game in the 3rd quarter.
And Florida responded to show some dominance here on their home court.
There's the Rattlers, who had an 8-0 run early in the third quarter, hopped out to an 8-0 lead to begin the game. And Florida just had a real sluggish beginning to their season. Really have been in a slog all night for most of it. Merritt, open look, can't can the tray. Correa back taps it to Merritt. Another offensive rebound. The Cyclone spin. Merritt can't finish. Kyle the last to touch.
Correa, you can see active on the offensive board. She might not get the rebound in her hands, but she's done a great job this evening of tipping the ball out to her teammates, not to the other team.
Gators on the horizon. They'll have a little bit off until they hit the court again. Not until Sunday. UNC Asheville will come to town. And for Florida A&M, will stay within the Sunshine State, take on always good South Florida program, as we'll have a tripping foul here at midcourt on Correa.
Well, Florida has almost a week off this week. They go at it next week. They've got a Sunday, a Wednesday, a Friday. They really, after that, are going to be back to back to back almost. And
their first big test, if you want to put it that way, at Florida State on Wednesday, November 16th. That will be the Gators' first road game. Bethune-Cookman, Furman, and Green Bay in a Thanksgiving tournament. Not the Packers, I promise. Green Bay.
Aaron Rodgers coming to town.
Yeah, they might actually beat the Packers at this point.
Their struggle's real. You're an NFL guy. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I have to talk to Aaron Rodgers. I'm a Colts fan, and we've gone through a lot here in the last day.
You have. You have definitely gone through a lot. Pulling in a new coach from ESPN.
It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. Ricards makes a football-like catch in the back of the end zone. Gators up 20. This wasn't a comfortable lead for most of this game. Ricard slings it up, buries the three.
But you like to see your team respond. There was some adversity early on. The game's close. FAMU's coming back and forth, fighting it back when you go up by some, making it a very competitive game, and then Florida responds and has created a 23-point lead. And you see the Rowdies getting behind, air ball. They're going to let her know it now.
Have a tie-up. Rowdies continue to get into it, but also I wanted to mention Ricards. That was her first make of the night. She's only taken 3 shots. That was her first points tonight.
Oh. That's someone who you're going to want to see get more active in the offense as far as shot attempts, but it also shows you that Florida has a lot of scorers on this roster, and you don't know what night who it's going to come from as the way it's going to look right now, unless consistently they keep scoring and then it stays on trend this way. But they have the ability to have a lot of scorers.
Another post touch for Rashea. Kyle
that was a great
steps
hook.
in the lane.
That was a good hook. She used her off arm. She hooks around the defense. That was a timely use of that and puts it in. For her, 13th point of the evening.
Another missed 3 from the Rattlers.
I'd like to see Birdie Rimdahl get some points. She hasn't gotten any from the field. It's been a rough afternoon for her, but again, she keeps her head up, and she's on the court for a reason, because you talk about her defense and the changes that she makes just being on the floor for her team.
Frida Buhner comes in. We'll have a 30-second timeout on the floor. Gators up 25 at the moment on a 16-0 run the last 5.5 minutes. You look at Florida A&M, there's a lot to like. I think the final score would definitely not be indicative of how this game was played. This fourth quarter has been, nothing short of a disaster for Florida A&M.
It went south in the fourth quarter, but if you're Florida A&M for the first 3 quarters, you kind of have to be, happy with the things that you saw in this first game out against this Florida team that's very, very talented. They came out and competed at every aspect.
Yeah, and you look at Florida now, Brittany, picked 7th in the league. I think that's a fair spot to put them in the middle of the league, losing Kiki Smith and obviously losing Zippy Broughton. There are a lot of unknowns with the transfers. And there were a lot of teams that were normally at the lower half of the league that made some good runs. You're seeing the up-and-coming Ole Miss Rebels start to perform at a higher level. They had a double bye in the SEC tournament. Gators lost a double bye in the final game of the regular season. So there's some newer teams in the mix, not just your Floridas and Tennessees and Georgias. Georgia's had to undergo a coaching change. Joni Taylor going to Texas A&M, taking over for Gary Blair, longtime head coach.
That'll be an interesting game, Georgia, Texas A&M.
Yeah, and the Gators know the new Georgia head coach who was at UCF, played her Tiffany Henderson.
That's right, yeah.
Gators lost to UCF in the tournament. She is a ferocious defensive coach. They had one of the best scoring defenses on paper, did UCF last year in the country. As Rimdahl takes it away, looking for her first point, she's got it.
And she gets it. She doesn't go scoreless. That's nice to go in there and get that too.
So it doesn't come from beyond the arc, and her 8th attempt has her first points. Ricards, the takeaway, pads on the Gator lead. Up to 29.
Florida's staying aggressive here. I like to see the aggressiveness of Florida's continue to play defensively to get turnovers, not letting up.
20-2 run in this fourth quarter.
Good response, good
and
shot in the corner.
3 from Oriami.
Open in the corner, Florida laid on a reversal, and that's a shot you're going to give up because you come to trap on this far side close to us. That corner 3 is going to be open.
You're seeing a lot more thought going to the post in this second half as opposed to the first. Maybe that halftime adjustment.
See, hands up, good steal in transition off the tip pass. In for a layup, and then again, Nina Ricards is going to come in and get another steal right after that.
The Gators picking up their defensive intensity, 28 points off turnovers tonight. Rattlers nearing 30 turnovers for the game. They averaged last year about 20. It's been interesting, too. They did not play during the COVID year.
Yeah.
They did not have a whole season because of COVID. So Shalon Pillow, in her 3rd season, this is only her 2nd year actually coaching the team and being around the team.
Yeah, she said that they left in, what was it, November? Didn't see them until almost January or February or something like that. So they're one of the teams who she said the whole campus was shut down. That didn't play. Like Florida had the ability to continue to play.
And they played last year, Brittany, and had severe COVID issues, as a lot of teams did in those flu season months early in the year. And they had at 8 players available. Didn't have enough players to practice in moments.
Oh, almost another steal.
Here's Grizzle. Off balance. Leah Weish amidst 4 green jerseys rips it away.
Whew, what
Ricards,
a pass.
long lead. Rimdahl the vision.
What a pass from about half court all the way to that block. That's a great pass right on the money over the defense.
Well, Kelly Ray Finley will be happy about this 4th quarter. I don't know about the other 3 quarters.
But the 4th quarter. And that's the thing that's kind of, in the memory some. They're going to call a kickball.
Gators want a sub. That warrior here is for Paige Clausen, the sophomore.
She has a cheering section.
She does,
that is
right
for
behind
sure.
us.
Anytime she gets in, they erupt.
Played about 13 minutes in the exhibition, did score, but looking for her first career points.
If she gets a point right here, they'll go crazy.
That's right. We'll throw it inside. Good look from Warren on the sideline, out of bounds. Weish nowhere to go. Booner can't corral it. Subarats coast to coast.
Oh, got a piece of that with Birdie Rimdahl.
Rimdahl not giving up on the play. About a 12-second differential. Clausen's in that far corner.
Birdie's looking
Will
for
she
it.
hoist? Clausen off the mark. Whole bench on its feet.
And you can see it from the push on that. Birdie Rimdahl was looking for her in transition to try to get her the ball.
Rattlers being serenaded by the Rowdy Reptiles. First of 2 games tonight in Exact Tech Arena. Gator men will take on Stony Brook after this right here on SEC Plus. Grizzle, final 3 seconds. Horton nearing the buzzer, a long 2. And that will do it. Gators wasn't pretty for the entire game, but when it's all said and done, an 83-55 win to move to 1-0.
And Florida does a great job of having multiple players score in this game. They went to a close game early on. Were able to get that lead in the 4th quarter. You got to be happy with the way that they came together and played really hard in that 4th quarter if you're Florida.
Well, Gators finished the game on a 24-3 to watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on the SEC Network. Download the ESPN app. For Brittany Davis, our entire crew, I'm Kyle Crooks saying so long and good night for now. But join us for the Gators and Stony Brook Seawolves coming up at 8 o'clock here on the SEC Network Plus.